Hello and welcome to Let's Talk, a series of podcasts produced by the Hazel and Betty Ford Foundation on the issues related to addiction, treatment, and recovery. I'm your host, William Moyers. I'm the Vice President of Public Affairs and Community Relations for the organization. I've been with Hazel and Betty Ford since 1996, but my personal connection goes back almost 30 years when I was a patient. Today we're joined by Josh C. Josh, for those who you can see, gets his very own chair among our podcast guests. And for those who can't see him, he is in his very own chair today. And with that, Josh, I'll ask you to tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, William, thank you for having me on. First of all, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to share my journey, talk about what got me to Hazelden. So yeah, I do have my own chair. I was not born with a disability, but when I was 18 years old, I felt like I had everything. I was a star football player on my high school team. We had one of the best teams in the state, and I wrecked on the day of the biggest game of my life. It was raining outside, and I hydroplaned into a line of trees, and I was paralyzed from the waist down. My team won the game that night, and that game took us to the state championship, and it was kind of like a movie. A few weeks later, I'm on a stretcher doing the coin toss for the state championship game. And it was then that I first was kind of presented to the entire community where I'm from back in North Carolina and kind of put on a mask. And I put on a mask that I would wear for the next 14 years. And that mask was that everything was okay and that I was fine despite, going from this star athlete to, not being able to feel or use my legs. I just acted like I could take this on and be this inspirational figure for my entire community. And that was to my detriment very much. Over the next decade, really, I watched as all of my peers went to college, started careers, got families. I watched as I refused to participate in life. I took my accident as the reason that everything was lost and that I didn't want to live this way and I refused to live this way and how could this happen to me? And being full of so much self-pity that it came to a point where I just had to numb it away. I just had to numb it away. And that was when my journey with addiction really started. Was after my accident, I would drink and I would use other drugs to kind of numb the pain away. And so I was also having some health complications after my accident. And I had a few back surgeries. And, then I'm introduced to opiate prescription pills. And, something I discovered was that, with my medical history, with me being a paraplegic, I could pretty much get a doctor to prescribe me anything I wanted. And I used that as a means to numb not only the physical pain, because I do deal with physical pain, but to numb away, all the hurt for what had happened to me. And about in 2014 was when I first realized I've got a problem here. I've really got a huge problem here. Before that, I could use every means of denial that you could imagine. But at that point, I could see what it was doing to my family. I could see that, no matter how much I tried to numb it away, I couldn't make it go away. I had to face, what had happened to me. And at that point, I had gone from not just abusing opiate pills, but I had gone all the way to heroin. And I was not, what society might look at and say, this guy's a heroin addict. But, as we're seeing now today with the opiate crisis in America, no one is discriminated against in terms of who can become addicted to these things. And, I was a heroin addict, and, that was when I first asked my family, when confronted, if they would, help me seek treatment. And I had a few rounds of outpatient, and, something just was not sticking. I was trying, I was giving a good effort, it felt like, but, I was also cold turkeying opiates over and over and over. No medication, limited therapy, a couple nights of outpatient group a week, and that was just not enough. So I came to a point a year, a month, and 10 days ago.
You count them.
Where I was done. Everything that, had happened, I just wanted to get away, and I had to start over somehow, and I didn't know how to do that. And my family and I started looking at places for me to go to inpatient treatment, and we found the Hazelden Betty Ford Treatment Center in Center City. And what was really important about that was that you guys were one of the only treatment centers we could find in the country that was happily willing to accommodate my disability. A lot of places were very resistant. And you guys also offered the mental health, co-occurring treatment that I needed to deal with the trauma of my past, my depression. So Hazelden Betty Ford became, this perfect place for me to go and start over. So that was how I got from North Carolina to Minnesota and talking to you here today.
Well, you surely are a prime example, a living example of the ability to overcome adversity and to turn it into opportunity. I was struck when I first met you in St. Paul, where we both find common ground, that you've been so open about your journey from addiction and into recovery. What have you found being so public and so open about your story?
Sure. Well, a wise man was telling me about a month ago, he goes, Josh, you don't owe anyone this superstar recovery. And, I thought about it when he said that, and I was like, yeah, I don't. But at the same time, the sense of relief that I felt after wearing that mask for all those years and telling all these people that cared about me that everything was fine, finally taking that mask off and being real and telling everybody, hey, I've got a problem and I need help. It felt like for the first time since my accident, I could breathe. It was a sense of relief and that I could finally rest in the truth. And the truth has literally set me free in so many ways. And so, yeah, being public about my, journey in recovery has been amazing. I was a little skeptical, at first that, everyone would receive me, with love and acceptance and, things we all want as humans. But, now I would not change that for the world. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I've been given. People reach out to me through Facebook and say, hey, I have a son or daughter who needs help, or I've got a problem myself, and you being so public about your story really inspired me, to do something about it. And I think, for a long time, the concept of anonymity maybe has been a little misunderstood. I certainly protect the means by which I recover, because I can't speak for certain 12-step organizations, but me personally, I'm liberated by my recovery. I'm allowed to yell to the world, hey, I'm an addict in recovery, and this is what recovery can look like. And so, that is just something that I've embraced, and I'm sure it's not for everyone, but in my specific case, it has just been an amazing experience, and I feel like I can help and be the most useful to the world in that way.
You've shared very publicly on Facebook and other places. That's how I primarily keep up with you. Some of the bonuses or the gifts that have come to you as a result of your journey in recovery. Everything from the tires on this chair to your car to your new job. Tell us a little bit about the gifts that you've experienced through this journey.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. You know, I was driving to work the other day, and
Driving yourself to
I
work.
was driving myself to work from leaving my downtown St. Paul apartment, which is on the 28th floor, overlooking the river. And, you know, I just have to pinch myself over and over because I can't believe it's real. And yeah, that has been a result of me being so open about my recovery and me embracing the truth. Is I'm finally giving myself permission to ask for help when I need it. And what I've discovered is that people have been more than willing to go out of their way. I had a new car donated to me. You know, I applied for a marketing job and I got it. And so, yeah, materialistically, so many things have come together. But what's even greater is that when I lay my head down at night, my conscience is clear. I was back home in North Carolina visiting my mom a few weeks ago, and we were eating lunch, and she started tearing up for, you know, no apparent reason. And I was like, "Mom, what's wrong? You know, what's going on?" And she just looked at me and she said, "Josh, this is the first time I can remember since your accident that I'm sitting down with you and I'm not scared that this is the last time I'll see you." And, you know, we just cried and held each other. And it was just a phenomenal experience that, you know, I can't express, you know, with words the gratitude that I feel to be able to have comfort, you know, like that to my mother who has worried about me for so long, you know. And so it's been an amazing year and some change here.
That peace of mind that we get when we have no secrets or when we feel comfortable in our own skin, it is really one of the great gifts, one of the great dividends of recovery.
Yeah.
So tell us, you've been very public, and we talked off camera, off audio here, a little bit about your own recovery story, and the fact that in your recovery story includes the use of medication to help you stay the course. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. I told myself, you know, when I got up here, I said, you know, I think my ability to recovery has directly correlated with my willingness to take suggestions. And so I told myself when I got up here, when the plane landed in Minnesota, I said, you know, whatever they tell me, whatever these doctors, whatever these therapists, whatever these professionals, you know, at this treatment center, which is known as the best treatment center in the world, tells me is probably the best course for me, that's what I'm gonna do, because Josh's way hasn't worked out so good. And so I got up here and, you know, I deal with chronic pain. I live with chronic pain on a daily basis, and that was something that kept me out there for a long time. And the physical withdrawal, the physical nature of opiate addiction is something unlike anything I think we've ever seen before. And I think a lot of the general public underestimates the physical dependence that your body creates when you're on opiates for as long a period of time as I was on.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I take Suboxone, and that's monitored by a doctor, you know, that's monitored by my therapist.
Suboxone is?
Suboxone is an anti-craving medication. It's what's called a partial agonist opiate. It doesn't get me high. I don't wake up every morning saying, oh, I can't wait, I need my Suboxone. You know, I take a daily dose for maintenance. And there's a lot of controversy surrounding Suboxone in the recovery community. You know, some people see it as not completely sober, and some people see it as cheating. And meanwhile, while they're shaming us for using Suboxone, people are going back out on opiates and dying.
Right.
So, I'm very passionate and very open about the fact that I need Suboxone as part of my recovery. Now, Suboxone by itself, that wouldn't be enough to treat the mental and spiritual nature of the disease of addiction, but it gives me a chance to. And I don't think I would have a chance to without it, because I tried before I came up here a few times without it. And the physical, the pain and the withdrawal was so fierce and so long lasting that I never had a chance to begin with. So Suboxone has given me a chance to recover, and my recovery is evident in everything around me. So, I challenge anyone to say, I'm cheating. If I'm cheating, well, I'm winning. And so.
Well, and your point too is that you don't just rely on that. You're a man of incredible spiritual faith. You've got a remarkable community. It's all those pieces that go together to make you the man in recovery that you are today.
Sure.
So Josh, we need to wrap it up here, but before we go, I know there are a lot of our listeners, a lot of our viewers who probably are listening or watching and are suffering with chronic pain. What would be your message to a chronic pain person and their ability to find relief through treatment?
Sure. Wow. Look at me. Look at me. I've had 7 back surgeries. I have lived with chronic pain for the better part of 14 years. I have told myself for years leading up to this that it didn't matter if I got clean or not, because my life would not be good, because I would be suffering from chronic pain. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the truth. And I had to take responsibility to find the alternative methods and the alternative therapies that would work for me to allow me to live the life that I live today. But I am hope that no matter what, level of pain you're going through, you can still have a high quality of life, and it can still be manageable. But you have to believe that there is hope, and there is hope, because I'm living proof that there is hope regardless of any circumstance that a person faces. If I can recover, anyone can recover.
Josh C. from St. Paul, Minnesota, thanks for carrying the message and proving that from adversity comes opportunity, the opportunity not only to recover, but to inspire others that they can too. On behalf of the executive producer, Lisa Stengel, and our great crew, I'm William Moyers. This has been a Let's Talk podcast. Please make sure to tune in or join us for our next program coming up soon.